Hello, and welcome back to More Moss to the People, the podcast where we have conversations with cool people who have opted to maybe slow down or choose a path of their own doing and recreating maybe their own lives at a different time of their lives. So today, my name is Asa Nilsson. I'm your host, and we are meeting with Tania Elfersy on the Sea of Israel. That's where you live, right?
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God, how
Yes.
beautiful. By the sea. I'm thinking I'm freezing here in Sweden. It must be really warm where you are. Is it warm?
It has been very warm, and we're just coming into a little wintry phase, but winter for us is like 15 degrees C. So
15 degrees. Okay, yeah, that doesn't sound so bad to me. I think I have 15 degrees in my house right now. So, okay, Tania, please tell us about yourself and who you are today in this stage of your life.
Yes. So I'm originally from the UK. I've been living in Israel for almost 30 years. And I'm a transformative coach and an author. I'm also mother of 3 teenagers. And I work specifically helping women through perimenopause and menopause, trying to support them on a path that can help them reach natural symptom relief and well-being, all from the inside out.
Mm-hmm. You know, that was fascinating to me because I am probably one of those people that know the least amount of anything about menopause and perimenopause. Meanwhile, I have gone through all of it. So I don't think that I'm alone. I don't think I'm alone. But I think it's so interesting because, you know, part of the whole part of my meaning behind this movement is to slow down. And how can we reconnect with ourselves in order to get the answers that we really need? And from my own perspective, I spent a life running. And then I was wondering, why can't I understand anything? Why can't I connect to spirit? Why can't I connect with my own intuition? Because there was so much noise. There was so much noise around me all the time. And until I chose to slow it down and to get quiet, I couldn't get my answers. And you have written a book, and I've read it. Thank you very much for sending it to me so I could read it before we actually had this time together. And the book is called The Wiser Woman's Guide to Perimenopause and Menopause, right?
Yes.
Yes. And you have a business, and your business name is The Wiser Woman. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And just to point out, that's not me, that's something that's within every single woman.
Yes.
And it ties into what you were saying, that we have all these thoughts about what we should be doing and what our life should look like, etc., etc. And there's this very clear, intuitive part of us, the wiser woman, which I think really comes to the surface at midlife to guide us to living the decades ahead of us in a healthy, joyful way.
You have had some interesting things that have happened in your life that have kind of given you this moment of, ooh, wait a minute. Wow. The power of choice and the power of the quiet. Can you tell me and whoever is listening here, my one listener, about your story, about what happened for you 8 years ago when you had your spontaneous recovery from your the symptoms that you were having in your life?
Yeah. So at the time, that would be before 2015, I had just spent a few years experiencing symptoms that at first I had no idea that they were connected to the change perimenopause. I'd never heard of perimenopause when I entered my 40s. And I was experiencing night sweats, frequent migraines. What I then discovered was 2 weeks of PMS. So with all the mood swings and the achy breasts, hair loss, skin problems, all kinds of other symptoms that just kept coming up. And I was running around trying to deal with each symptom on its own. So, and I was inclined to go the natural route. So I was running to acupuncture and taking different herbs and trying healing and different potions and trying everything, and spending a lot of time and money doing that.
Right, sure.
And then I heard about perimenopause, and I was like, oh my goodness, how is it that I didn't know? And I thought I knew a little bit about women's health. And I asked all my 40-something friends, well, do you know that we're going through the change? And actually nobody knew. And perhaps now there's more awareness about perimenopause. But what had happened over the last 30 years is that medicine had split up menopause, that was once seen as a much longer time of change, to this very specific point in time, 1 year after your last period. That's when you reach menopause. And then they said everything before that is perimenopause and everything after that is postmenopause. So they just hadn't done a really good job of updating the public. And so me and my friends, we all thought, oh, you know, the change, that's in our 50s. Like, we don't have to worry about that. And
or later.
I personally thought, yeah, that's later. And I personally thought that must happen quickly for some reason. And of course it doesn't. It can take 10 years or more. I've been in it for 10 years. I still haven't come, you know, through it yet. And it's a gradual change. And as I learned more, the only solution that seemed to be offered was, oh, well, just fix your hormones, right? Your hormones are dropping. You need to replace them. And once you replace them, then you're going to start to feel better. And that didn't seem right to me. I'd experienced some brilliant things in my body. And I was like, well, why would my body be getting it wrong? Why would it not understand what hormones I need at this time? Why would that make any sense? And I explored it further and further, and then came to a point where I realized, oh, I see what's happening. I'm creating a lot of stress in my life innocently by taking my thinking about things seriously. And at the time, it was about juggling my little business and being a mother and trying to make it all work and feeling bad that I wasn't the breadwinner or, you know, making enough, et cetera, and taking all that inside. And my body was giving me all these symptoms because it didn't want me to live with that much stress.
Right.
And so I was having my particular collection of symptoms where I was sensitive. And it was just the body telling me, oops, sorry, I'm sure
that's okay.
Turn that off. It was just the body telling me, you can wake up and realize that you're on a path that isn't going to serve you with all that amount of stress. And so that's what I ended up seeing. And when I really saw that, I had an insight about the nature of thought. Within days, all my symptoms cleared up, the emotional symptoms, the physical symptoms. And at first I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then as I explored it further, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And
yes, very
and I think I should share it.
Yes, the world needs to hear about this. There's a couple of women who might want to hear this message. Let me go back a little bit there to what you said about the thoughts and how what we do, like we keep adding on. Like let's look for everything outside to fix what's going on the inside. And I mean, that's repeated so many times in my life, right? Where we're looking on the outside for inside answers, not listening in. But I love what you said about if the body, we were created this way. I mean, are having a period, going through perimenopause, going through menopause, postmenopause, the body has been created for this. That we're not doing something new here. So we were created perfectly. So why wouldn't we be able to? Why couldn't our body also then work through this without having all these extra external things? So that to me was like, whoa, that is so true, because I mean, we were made perfect. Now we're the ones that then think that everything is so, oh, we have to do this because my friend did it. Well, everybody in society is doing, people on TV are doing it. So then obviously I have to do it too, because I feel I'm having night sweats, or I'm being moody, or I feel terrible, I'm losing my hair. I mean, all the different things, all the things. So I love this, because the power of thought to me is just so important and critical in how, what you think about, you bring about that. I'm a firm believer of that. So you had a thought that, wait a minute, I could do something about this. This is Can you talk me through kind of like a little bit more about what that was like for you when all of a sudden it hit you?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So at the time, the biggest thought that used to land in my head and make me feel really bad was the idea that I'm not enough,
Yeah.
right? And I know many women carry this
The
story
condition of
around.
the woman.
Yes, I'm
Mm.
not enough because, and then everyone has their little reason why.
Mm.
And it could be things going back decades. But mine was like, I'm not enough because I'm setting myself goals and I'm not meeting them. And I just feel a failure business-wise, etc.
Yeah.
And I had felt, I had created a story around my life that I could set goals and meet them. And that was actually made up. Like I had done that sometimes, but not all the time. But it felt like that was my identity. So when there was this like big goal that I'd set for my little business and I wasn't meeting it, it felt like it was crushing my identity, my core, my belief of who I was. And that was all made up.
Yeah.
And so these thoughts used to come into my mind and I used to take them really seriously. And then I used to feel really bad. And that almost put a stamp on it. Oh, yeah, there is something really bad going on because look how bad you feel.
Now
And
look, see, I told you so.
Yes, exactly. But it's actually a misunderstanding. I was feeling really bad because my body didn't want me to take those thoughts seriously. And we can find truth in thoughts that come in and bring a lighter feeling, a flavor of possibility and opportunity. And we can actually look there just as easily as we can look to the other side of thoughts that create constriction and fear and bring us down, etc.
Yeah.
And there isn't truth there for us. There's truth over here. But we are conditioned to search for what's going on here and then try and fix what's going on here. And so I thought, oh God, I just don't feel, I feel so lousy and I feel like I'm falling apart and there must be things I need to do. So it must be meditations and affirmations and gratitude journal. And if someone is inspired to do all these things, then that's great.
Sure.
But if you take it on as I must, I should, I'm failing at, then you create more and more stress in your life because you think, oh my goodness, I'm just, failing at all of that as well as my original fail. And so
I got a lot of failure going on here.
So
that's a lot of stress and pressure.
And then the insight that I had was, oh, I know, it's actually easier for me if I don't take those thoughts seriously. And it's like, it just takes like even less energy if I don't take those thoughts seriously. So what happens if those thoughts come into my mind and I just let them be? Like, I don't try and fix them. I don't try and convince myself, no, I am enough. No, really? No, look at the things I've done in my life.
Right.
No,
keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing.
Yeah, because that just creates more storm.
Sure.
More thought storm. And so instead, I can just have a different relationship with any thought that comes into my head. And that's what started to happen. Like the thoughts would still come into my head. You're not enough. You could have done more about this, etc., etc. But I had a different relationship to them. So I didn't have to take them seriously. And then when a nicer thought came in, not because I pushed it into my head, but because that's the way that we're designed. Thoughts come, thoughts go. And if we don't entertain the thoughts that make us, that can make us feel bad, they just disappear and new thoughts come in. And when new thoughts come in that feel like possibility, then I would just put my focus there. And it's so easy when you learn it and you can really see how the system works. But innocently, we're so often stuck in the other way that I feel bad. There must be something I need to do. I need to
got to fix it,
analyze, fix it. Let me find someone who's going to help me. Let me find something that's going to, some herb that will make me feel better, or anything. When actually we have this incredible guidance system within that really allows us to go through life on such a gentler path. And that's really all our body wants. It wants us to connect to that inner sense of wisdom, the wiser woman, as I like to call it, so that we can live gentler lives. We can be gentler ourselves. We can be happy, more joyful. And that is the source of health.
No, that is so right. You know, like if you don't mind, it don't matter. Right. Don't, it's, I talk to my clients also about the feeling, to try to connect to the feeling of, is that a good feeling thought? Or does it make you feel like, like, you know, it makes you like, you feel like the insides are going like this, or does it feel expansive? Like you want to go like this, and that's checking in with, what am I thinking? How am I feeling? You know, it is, a lot of people say about meditation, right? I mean, when you meditate, how if you have a thought that comes, just let it go. It doesn't matter. Like let a better feeling thought come in. And it's, some people are like, oh, that's woo woo, or that's so silly. It's critical. It is absolutely critical for us to feel the way that we were designed to feel, which is to be free and to be loving and loved and accepting and accepted, and all these rules of the external, right? That's not a free feeling. That is not free and beautiful. Now, something that you also talk about is the Japanese take on menopause.
Yes.
Which I love too. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So the Japanese have a word called konenki for menopause, which in general means a sort of season of energy and change. And they understand that there is this energetic shift that happens for women between the age of 40 and 60. And it's not even necessarily tied to the end of menstruation, right? That's not the major part of it, like we view in the West. That's what menopause is, you know, your date, etc. But they understand that there's this change that happens in those years. And it's such a more gentle, respectful, loving way to view this time of change. This change is supposed to happen. We are going through a rite of passage, a graduation to an elder, a soul journey. Like all these ways that we can describe it have nothing to do with hormone deficiency. Hormone deficiency views the body as a machine. It says, oh, wait a minute, now we're, you know, the computer says that your hormone levels are here. Yes, the computer says, no, you're not the right hormone level for a 30-year-old. And so we need to bring you back up to being the right hormone level of a 30-year-old, when actually our hormones drop to a level of pre-adolescent girls. And how many menopausal symptoms do pre-adolescent girls have? You know, none. So it's just a myth that has been created in the last certainly 100 years that women reach this time, they become deficient, rather than viewing it as, like I said, a rite of passage, as the Japanese view it, as like this energetic shift. And if we viewed our life cycle more in terms of energies instead of what happens to the hormones, I think that's so much more loving and useful, because we say, okay, there's the energy of reproduction, there's the energy of change, and there's the energy of an elder. And it's something to look forward to, and it's something that we can embrace. And in Japanese culture, they do have a lot more respect for the elder. And there is something that someone could look forward to that graduation. Whereas in the West, the elder is, you know, given its own little box, often shipped off to, you know, an old people's home or whatever. And it isn't given the respect that often traditional cultures would give an elder. So that really influences the way that we journey through menopause. And surprise, surprise, Japanese women have much easier time of menopause than women in the West. And so there are people say, oh, that's because they eat tofu and soy, etc.
Obviously, it's the tofu and the seagrass.
But there are other cultures as well that are more traditional, that women also have an easier time of menopause, and they don't eat tofu. So it's not necessarily about the tofu, but more about the way that we view what's happening at this time.
And I mean, the respect in the culture, I mean, everybody deserves to be respected. And I mean, I just think it's so I consider myself to be an elder. I call myself an elder to my nieces and my nephews, and even to people in their 30s. I'm like, listen to your elders. Learn from me. Yeah, learn from my lessons, save you some time. Which I love that, because I love the honor of that. And when we honor ourselves, when we honor our elders, when we honor everyone has their place, everybody has their right to be here, of course, in my mind. And that is so much more gentle. And
Yes.
if, gentle and accept, so the sun is going to be coming in real soon. So I hope this isn't going to be irritating, because usually I don't do chats this time of the day.
Oh, okay.
I do the afternoon, and the 3 minutes of sun we have in Sweden is gone.
Oh, okay.
But if we can, another miraculous thing that I think that you have gone through, and I want you to share this, because this is just to show us what we are capable of. So the beach. Let's talk about the beach.
Yeah.
Can you tell a story of that?
I'll tell a story about the beach.
Thank you.
I started a while ago. I had set an intention that I would like to be able to see without glasses. And here I am with glasses, but I'll explain.
And they're cool glasses. I like the glasses.
Thank you. But I had been wearing multifocal glasses for about 10 years. And every time I got a new pair of glasses, the prescription would go up on a plus, and it would just go plus more, plus more, plus more. And I was like suspecting that there was something that I wasn't seeing about that. That why would my vision be getting worse and worse? And of course you combine to that, this is what happens at midlife, it's downhill until you're 80, and then it will start switching or something. But I wanted to see how I could perhaps heal my eyesight. And I went to a workshop, a 2-day workshop, run by someone who had healed his eyesight from blindness at the age of 17. He'd been born blind and healed his own eyesight. And it was a workshop where we did lots of exercises and out in the park, and using shutting one eye and throwing balls and catching them and doing all kinds of things. And at the end, I saw that there was definitely an improvement in my eyesight. And I also learned that multifocal was just not what you should be putting on your eyes, because it sort of like focuses your eyes too intensely. And so I ran to my optician, and I already was able to come down one number in my reading glasses and in my driving glasses.
After your 2 days at this workshop, doing this training that this person taught you.
Yes. And so I carried on afterwards doing the exercises, but I felt like they were helpful, but it felt like a chore that I wasn't really enjoying. So then I had the idea, well, I could go to the beach. I live close to the beach. And I knew that the expansive views of the beach would be helpful for your eyes, because this is one of the things that we lack in modern life, that we are all the time. Yeah, the expansive view, because we're all the time in front of the computer or in our houses or just looking out to the street. So unless you live, really in the middle of the country or something, then you don't get that expansive view. So I started going to the beach by myself.
Very symbolic, by the way, I will say. That we don't have a broader perspective.
Yes.
More of a myopic view.
Yes. So I started going to the beach by myself and feeling very guilty, because who goes to the beach by themselves midweek?
Just must be nice. Who's she? Is she rich? She must be rich. Or I just want to enjoy the beach.
So, I mean, literally, I would meet people sometimes on the way, and they're like, "Where are you going?" I'll be like, "I'm going to the beach." And they're like, "What? With a friend? You're going to meet someone? There's something going on at the beach?" I'm like, "No, I'm going to the beach by myself." And so I managed to get it to 4 times a week. And right from the beginning, I noticed, wow, I'm really seeing stuff without my glasses. I could see the sand and the shells and the textures, and then I decided to bring a book. I think it was day 3. I brought a book, and I realized I could read a book on the beach without my glasses. And so, yes, there is this tremendous light that goes on at the beach that's really helpful to see. But we don't think about light really when we see, apart from when it's like evening and we go to a restaurant and we can't read the menu, right?
Yeah,
and we're like,
right.
oh, where's my torch on my phone?
Yeah.
Right. But the light is so amazing. But then you can spend a lot of time with the expansive views, looking at things close up, looking back to the expansive views and healing your sight. And so what happened is that I was able to heal by half. I was able to half my prescription.
That's amazing.
Which is now these glasses that I wear for working on the computer, etc. And it's still a journey. And as we were saying before we press record, writing and editing a book is not necessarily the way to heal
the best
your
for
eyes.
Your eyes. Yeah.
So I had this whole healing experience at the beach, and then yes, I had to, I got inspired at the beach to write my book. So that was the other thing that came out of the beach, that yes, I actually got inspired to write. So I would go to the beach, come home, and then write. And what I love about that whole experience is that I can now say that I wrote a book. It's my second book, but there's 11 years between them. So it's been a while since I've been thinking about this book.
Yeah.
But it came from nothing. It really came from doing nothing. From me prioritizing time for myself to do nothing. Because I was called to go to the beach, and despite all these like little voices in my head going, oh, you can't go to the beach, oh, everyone's going, what are people going to think, and look how tanned you're looking, etc., etc. But I put those voices aside, and I said, this is where my bliss is right now, at the beach. And just for the love of my love of the beach, that felt wonderful, and because I wanted to heal my eyesight, that's what happened. And from that, the book emerged really in a beautiful way. So yes,
I love that stuff.
Yes.
I love that you were doing nothing. It came out of nothing. I love that. Right.
Yes.
When we drop like the masks, right? We just drop all the facades and we just are there and we allow. And that's why is that so hard for us? Why is it? I mean, this is just a question for the world, but why is it so hard for us to just not have to produce, not have to do something for, even if it's 10 minutes, like just adding that practice into our day? And it is practice, because it's not easy to do, to just actually follow your bliss, go to the beach or go into the forest where I go and find my bliss, right? And where I have my conversations with God, where I connect and reconnect with myself and Mother Earth, and just drop it all. We need it. We need it more and more and more, I think, as a civilization. And I think that it's such a beautiful perspective that, imagine if we just listened into our bodies instead of adding more things into our bodies that we think that we're so needing of. Maybe the answers are already inside of us, and we just need to quiet down.
Yes. And I would add, people can be listening to this and thinking, oh, I want to write books, so I should go to the beach.
Now, I gotta do that too.
It may work for someone like that, but everyone will have their own path of bliss.
Yes.
Right. So for someone, it may be just they love the park, at the end of their street, or they love the forest, a little drive away, or whatever it is. Or it may, maybe something, it may be like they want to go swimming. And so like they've been feeling bad to go swimming, and then they just prioritize swimming, and maybe something comes out of that. But it's really about the sense of, what am I inspired to do? I could have at the beginning of the year said, oh, I must write my book this year. And then all the pressure and, and I had been trying to write a book, 5 years ago, I'd started it. So I could have put all that pressure on me, but I had let it go because I knew that it would just happen at the right time. And
when we trust that,
it really came from nothing. I mean, I was literally lying down on the beach, and then I was like, oh,
chapters are going to be called
chapters. I can see some chapters, and that's how it emerged. And then it was effortless. There was no striving, and there was no I must, and I didn't put a schedule on it, at all. It was just like, let me see what comes out, and then it just flowed. So
because it's no push. The more we push things away from us, and allowing the joy, the moments of joy. It's like spontaneous, how you had a spontaneous recovery, because wait a minute, let me try this. Like, even make a game out of things and have more fun with it versus it being so heavy. And I understand that every single person has their own journey, and they see, I mean, maybe I had it easier during my menopause. I don't know. I mean, I'm only myself, so I have no idea what anybody else has, but there's alternatives. There's lots of different ways to maybe look at things, change your perspective of something, and things change. So that's what I wanted to have here, was this conversation today. And I appreciate you taking this time with me. I know your kids are coming home from school soon. So do you have any last minute thoughts, anything that you'd like to say, or any kind of bits of advice for anybody maybe searching for more joy in their life?
Yeah, I mean, it really starts and from within. That's what I've seen, and it's so simple. We think this to attain joy or to attain good health, it's complicated and must involve, what the computer says, right? But it's so simple. The body is brilliant and wise, and absolutely wants to bring us back to the path of good health constantly. That's all it ever tries to do. But we interpret that as malfunction, sickness, crazy symptoms, etc., etc. When all the body is trying to do is work with the conditions that we've created on the ground. And from that, try and get us back into balance. So sometimes the symptom is the attempt to bring us back to balance, but sometimes the symptom is just the attempt to wake us up and show us that something is out of balance and we can bring it back. So, creating a real trust between ourselves and our body is such a game changer, because there's so much wisdom there that in our Western culture we don't tap into. But it's waiting for us, and it loves, the body loves us and just wants us to live in health. So good health, joy is a lot simpler than we think. Yeah.
And closer maybe than we think also.
Yes. Yes.
Good stuff. Great conversation. This is interesting. Thank you for teaching me. Teaching me something new that I needed. Like I said, when I first met with you, when we had a chat, I said, I never had this conversation with my mother. I had no idea that she had also gone through menopause at the age of 40, and I went through it starting at 40, and I didn't know. I mean, we don't know unless we have conversations. And I appreciate you showing up in the world with this important message for us, and that you are witness and you have experienced, and that you are sharing it, because it's so important, because we need to hear more of that. We need to have more things that make us feel joy and hopeful in this new stage of our journey, becoming elders. Becoming elders in the world. Our responsibility.
Yes, and so I like to say, I write now in the book, the best is yet to come. And that's just not what society's telling us. But really, because the wisdom that's bubbling to the surface at this stage of life, if we can gather that.
And share that through storytelling, right? This is what is that's part of the movement. Tell the stories, right? This is, the world gets better by us sharing our stories. Us as women, us as human beings, with other women who are coming behind us, right? We're leading the way with our lantern, right? Like, look at us. This is what we did. You're going to be getting it too. Expect this. Expect good things. Expect, like, it. Maybe it doesn't have to be so treacherous, right?
Yeah.
We can change our mind about a lot of things. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time today. Thank you. The sun is with us.
I like seeing the sun, but
I do. Trust me, I do too. My gosh, I'm thinking about going out and laying out in the 5-degree weather. All right. Thank you so much, Tania. Thank you for your time. And we'll put all your contact information in the show notes, your website, and your social media channels. And I also, I don't know if you would share that gentleman's name who did the workshop. I mean, just for people to like maybe even research a little bit about that with
Oh
the
yeah,
vision. That's beautiful.
Yeah, his name is Meir Schneider. I mean, I can.
Yeah, just send me that name.
Yeah, send you the
Because
name.
I didn't get all that. But all right. So thank you so much for today. I hope that you have a wonderful day. And I appreciate your time. I really do.
Yeah,
I appreciate
thank
you
you.
sharing your story.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Take care. Thank you.